Okay, welcome to an episode of the Diplomats for Technologically Challenged. I'm here in the middle of rural Texas, and frankly, I'm the most technologically advanced of the three of us. I have no idea what's being recorded or shown. We're just, you know what? This isn't even sponsored by diplomacybriefing.com. This is sponsored by Ed Sullivan's Blood, Sweat, and Tears, because we must be a river to the people who listen. Stop it, hand. We can see every time you move the screen. All right, look, we've got Audacious Hand, we've got Superstition. These guys were so excited, and I don't know why they were so excited, because they were like, no, Germany should totally just keep going and let England get 3 builds, and I'm really impressed with this relationship, and why would Germany do all this? But fellas, Germany makes the move, makes the stab I wanted. Is it too soon? You want to rant? Jump in.
Perfect timing, I think. I just thought the relationship would go a little bit further. It wasn't that I didn't want him to stab. I obviously didn't want Italy to help England into Portugal, so I guess that needed to be a unified decision, and it looks like it was carried out very well. Perfect timing.
I mean, I think that I've noticed just it's odd. The more I comment on these games and then look at other people's reactions, I just realize that what I find pleasurable or in a game is so different from other people. I mean, there's just this kind of bloodthirsty rooting for the stab. I mean, for instance, Ed has already been gloating about how right he was that Germany would do this. But I would like to point out that he's predicted that Germany will stab England, or that England will grow resentful, stab Germany every single turn. So eventually you are going to be right.
Stop lying.
And so, he just, and this had me thinking, there's different kinds of players, right? And actually these different, you've got your 1 center stabbers, your 2 center stabbers, your 3, and then I would say your 4+. So a great example of 1 center stabber would be like Pawa, who was like a 2-time finals champ, and that actually does work in these kind of games. I think your 2 center people, Kitsune, Umble, you've got your 3. I think Village Idiot here, he really has proven so masterful. He's now, like, I would say, like, second in contention to take this game, and but I would say he's probably, I mean, I don't know him as well as you guys, maybe a 3 center stabber who just found himself cornered and just had to make his move a little early. But you still see the same player who laid dead suddenly turns into this just dynamic kind of titan. And then you've got your 4+, like Stitches, basically. But yeah, so it's all up to your taste and your style. But I would actually say he did stab too early. All England's going to do is going to disband St. Petersburg and Barents. Russia will gain there, and then it's you versus Russia, and except you have a little thorn in your side still.
Wait a second. Aren't you the one that said that he had to pick between England and Italy soon? So I think he picked.
Yeah, he did, except Italy. He picked Italy, and then Italy
ran away.
Let's just say, yeah, Italy. I mean, I feel like so often I'm like asking you guys for adjectives that aren't insulting, but something that would be nicer than cowardly for Italy's moves here. I mean, he could have had the Mid-Atlantic. I don't know who he thinks he's fooling with this kind of like, whoops, I accidentally tried to support you into the South Coast. If he could have just given England Portugal, he could have had the Mid-Atlantic. That would actually give him Portugal, and the following season, and he could leverage his position there. Instead, he gets paranoid that Germany's going to just walk into Marseille in a completely irrational move. And then the real star, let's say, of the West, we have to admit, is France here, don't you guys think?
Oh yeah, France definitely.
Got breasts back, can't build, but clearly, in my mind, got sick of telling England what would happen.
No, but look at the details. Like, he told England to convoy him to Gascony. He promised England, he told England convoy to Gascony, and he told Germany to support him into Brest. He sensed the wedge between them at the perfect time. There's even a part of me that thinks that I think that Italy is just trying to play the the idiot savants or something here, but there is a part of me that almost thinks that he convinced Italy that he was going to support England into the south coast of Spain, and Italy was just making like a cheeky support into himself.
No, I think the order is Spain's. Here we can look at it. Army Spain supports MAO to Spain south coast.
Exactly. So it's either he's showing like, oh, I knew you were going to do this, or he's like, oh, I accidentally ordered this instead of supporting you into Portugal. I think that the latter is much more likely. I think he's actually thinks that England's going to believes that he accidentally, which is ridiculous.
There are
also,
no misorders.
I mean, Italy bungled this move so bad. Huh?
I was going to say there are no misorders in a finals game. They can say they're accidental misorders, but all of these players are thinking hard about what they're writing. I wouldn't believe anyone who said they made a misorder in a finals game.
Yeah. You know, that attitude gets really hard for people like me who would totally misorder in a finals game.
That was the build.
Yeah. But yes, generally that is true, and this one looks really transparent to me. But yeah, I would actually argue that I'm not so sure about the stab. I think it's a big win for there is a sliver of light for France to get back in this game now, even. But yeah, I mean, I really believe that England will just completely disband his northeastern expedition, turtle up, and Russia will benefit at Germany's expense here. What's really shocking is what's going on with Austria too. What do you guys think?
Yeah, Austria had a horrible round. I did predict that they would split up Turkey, and that's what they did. But why would Bohemia tap Munich? Because Munich's not going to do anything. And you just come back to Vienna. You could even self-balance with Trieste if you wanted to. It just doesn't make any sense. And even if he picks up a build, he has nowhere to build now.
I think he just sincerely believed going to come back on his side, and that Bohemia was trying to break support, so that Russia could push Germany out of Silesia. I think that even we both said that it seems like if you were really going to stave off a serious English-German threat, that they would have to unite. And I think that that's the illusion that was kind of put over Austria. It's kind of, I've called this, I think it's kind of what I call a grind stab, which is one of the cruelest things you can do to someone. So what Russia has done here is he built up an immense amount of kind of personal capital with Austria. He just built a kind of deep relationship, and now he's just burning it all turn after turn. If he can just get that and just lying, getting his lies through one more time, he can just get a little more. And I think that's what happened. I mean, I think that's what Austria is falling victim to, and it's kind of sad and all too familiar pattern for me, frankly.
That's probably why you liked Austria's play so much in 1903 or 4.
I mean, one day you'll find a Russia who understands, but it is true. It is true that like there is a kind of you've got to realize when you're dealing with a more conventional player and not try to push this kind of thing.
All right, let's try and put some cohesion here.
Okay.
Russia. I want to talk about Russia right now. I can't. Everything you just said about getting personal capital, but not just with that. He had personal capital with England. He had personal capital with Germany. He didn't gain. He staved off all these problems. St. Petersburg was under threat forever. Okay, yet somehow managed to let them keep them at bay. And you're totally, in my mind, right. England's going to disband the two up north. And this is what I think Village Idiot is a genius.
Wow. That was a long, interesting lag of genius. I hope that audio goes through because that was really interesting. Oh, he's frozen now too.
You're looking at the Austrian
Come back to us, Ed. Come on, baby. Do you think he's gonna get back in?
I don't know. He's moving slow.
What do you think? Do you think Russia's a genius?
I like the Russian moves. He gets a build this way, so
Yeah.
I think that's what he needed to do. I hate the Austrian moves. It's like if you were planning on getting a build, you need to make sure that home center is open. It's doesn't make any sense to me.
I don't know. I think that
okay, I'm back. Can you guys hear me?
Oh yeah, we can.
Okay, what I was saying is this. What I really like about Russian moves is he doesn't care that Germany made the stab. He loves the German stab. The German stab is the genius of Village Idiot because he's going to grow, just like you said, in Scandinavia. Mm-hmm. Germany needs an ally now. He's got everyone hating him. Germany is the new Austria.
Well, he has France. He has Italy.
France likes him.
France, I think with France and Italy, he's pretty set. But I agree that Russia benefits most out of this situation because, yeah, he saved St. Petersburg, and now England is no threat, and also is just going to be a thorn in Germany's side. The problem is that one thing you neglected to talk about is that he is forming a German Austrian, which is more formidable depending on what Italy chooses to do here. So Italy could actually swing around to the west.
They're out of position though. They're not in really good position to make gains in the east or west right now. They're just setting up a convoy line.
Who's that?
Italy. Hey, I mean, Audacious, are you sure this is recording?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Because mine has an orange dot next to record, but
where is he sending a convoy line to? I don't see that what you're referencing.
I don't know. He just has a contiguous amount of fleets.
It just looks like a defensive position to me, like he thought Germany might move against him. That's what Italy had made the worst. I would if
No, you stop.
Russia has a fleet in Constantinople that opens up the faintest possibility of another fleet in Sevastopol, which if I'm Italy, I want no fleets to exist. I just want to be the only naval power in the south and also moving into the Atlantic. I don't really I would actually have maybe not actively helped Austria here, but backed off and let Austria be my kind of shield against what is going to be looks like it could be a Russian intrusion into the Mediterranean. I would have taken the Mid Atlantic and supported England to Portugal. I would have just held Venice. I just disagree with every move, except maybe moving to the move from Naples to TYS.
I don't know. I like supporting Conk into Greece, but that's just me.
What does Russia build in Sev? He gets a build. That's the only place he can build. Do you think he might build a fleet?
I don't see why he needs to.
I would build. I think he's going to build an army. I think that, but
An army in Armenia would be nasty.
yeah, I think he's going to build an army. I think that Austria will disband the fleet. If he builds a fleet, that would immediately, if I was Italy, I would immediately assume that Russia is now my enemy. I might even make that explicit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, England will disband their kind of St. Petersburg expedition. I think the biggest question is really the German builds. I mean, are they going to go all out against England? I mean, do you think? I mean, at least one fleet. I think at least a fleet in Kiel, right? I mean, if you look at the German position, the stab. Well, if you look at the German position, it really isn't actually that great of an idea. I mean, I know everyone wants to cheer on the stab, but look, if he needs enough fleets in the West, right, to deal with England as even a nuisance, and to get enough fleets over there, he needs to leave Scandinavia basically undefended against a Russian attack. I mean, it was a risk to kind of let England go up to some degree, but I'm really not that sold on this.
I don't know. All of England's fleets.
I think the big winner is.
North is open. It's time to push.
So you think would you build two fleets?
I probably would.
How about you, Ed?
I don't know, because like it sort of depends on what he's worried Russia's going to prioritize. He's going to want to hold the line, which he can against Russia. But by doing that, he's not going to make a lot of progress against England without two fleets. He's got the fleet in Bothnia. I mean, he's way out of position on fleet power. Like, where are his next dots coming from? He's made some sort of peace with Italy. He can't get to Marseille, can't get to Portugal.
St. Petersburg.
Well, I don't know that he gets to St. Petersburg. England's going to disband up there.
Yeah, he's not.
They're going to bounce.
Russia is getting St. Petersburg back, I think.
You think?
I'm telling you, it's just everyone wants to celebrate that, but when you look at it, it was too soon, and two centers is not really enough.
I think Russia can get it, but I think Germany.
Let me posit that that Germany wasn't stabbing because he wanted to. I think Germany stabbed because he felt he had to.
Right.
Because of all the builds England was going to get. And Germany would still have the same growth problem. I think he felt that England would just stab him if he didn't make the move now. I think it was a stab of necessity.
I disagree. I think that's part of a long-term relationship in this game is that sometimes one person is going to be more vulnerable, one time the other person is going to be more vulnerable, and if you can get through that, it only makes like that the power of that bond stronger. I mean, I don't think that these two builds are going to benefit him unless he is such a sweet talker that he can bring bring England back on board. If
I couldn't I agree. I'm an alliance player, okay, and I agree that mutual trust and people are going to go up and down, and that makes the mark of a great alliance. But the problem here is Germany could not grow, England could not grow except through Germany. Therefore, Germany felt.
they had
I mean, I,
they had Russia at its knees. England just put an army into St. Petersburg. England was all in on crushing Russia. Once you get that army in, if he had, it was over. There were definitely gains to be had. I absolutely disagree. I think that the real triumph here is Russia's because he not only stabbed his ally in the back, but he avoided the fate of the other side not following through with a kind of symmetrical reaction. You know, he wedged them apart
all
right
right.
when he was wedged apart. I think Russia really. I might
Superstition.
actually
Who do
put
you
him.
agree with?
Huh?
Oh
I
yeah,
want superstition to resolve the debate.
I think it was a stab of necessity for sure. Yeah, there is inroads through Russia, but um, it's still a lot of builds behind your back for one lane of avenue. And honestly, Germany probably would want Moscow just for defensibility in the future. So,
I mean, they had Austria just got stabbed. They had England on board too. You could have just partitioned Russia in a flash. But you know what, Russia judo master here. I mean, I think now that I speak these words, I have to say I'm putting Village Idiot in pole position to win this game now because I don't know how
he had no enemies to begin with, and except for a few in the north against STP, he still has very little conflict.
yeah. I mean, I have to say
He
if
had
I
an enemy in Conk. Konk's effectively gone, although I believe the Grecian contingent will come back. Austria can't do anything to him. Italy can't do anything to him. Germany doesn't want to do anything to him now. And England's going to help him.
what do you
I
mean?
told you before, it's an A plus.
Germany and Russia can't
I
be
mean,
friends here. Are you kidding?
Russia could not have. That's what I. But Germany wants Russia to be friends.
Hmm.
Russia's not going to be friends with Germany, but Germany wants Russia to be his friend. Are you just saying with the like? I agree. The Russians in the pole position because Germany is going to be fighting on all fronts except for maybe Austria now.
I don't think Germany's going to be fighting Italy at all. I think Italy is going to try to scoop up what it can from the English centers in the west, and then try to take what it can from Austria too. Before Russia.
Okay, think through the map here because Vienna's gone, right? Russia's going to lose Vienna or not theoretically. I mean, it depends on what gets cut.
Right.
But
It's tough. It's tough. I mean, if the grind stab is in progress, you can really maintain the kind of hypnotic spell for sometimes up to 3 turns. He might just be like you can almost see the emotional abuse happening in this move of Russia against Austria. I just feel so much for what Austria must be going through. So it's really hard to predict because there is I think there is a lot of diplomacy happening there. There's a lot of kind of intangibles. But if reason prevails and a strong central powers kind of alliance happens, that could proceed really quickly still. I can't believe Italy's moves. I mean, it's just sad. It's a waste.
Why did Italy help Conk? Conk could be out of the game.
I don't know. I mean, to me, you're moving a fleet closer to you. He could have mid-Atlantic. He could have that fleet gone and just be ready to block Russia out of the Mediterranean. Yeah, I'd say that's the worst move on the board.
What good does that fleet do to Italy? Like, where does it go now?
Yeah, it's an annoyance. And right when Austria will probably disband his left even on the shores of the Mediterranean. Yeah, it is really unfortunate on both ends.
The thing about Austria is, if I'm reading the map right, he piffed the army in Bulgaria, but by doing so, he didn't get Khan.
Right. Well, I mean, he just believed, Russia probably, had some explanation, just kind of stoking the dying embers of their friendship for one more turn, and told him that he wouldn't take Constantinople or something. I'm not so sure. I mean,
I'm a tad surprised.
It's a pure emotion going on there.
I'm a tad surprised he didn't move Greece to Bulgaria, supported by Serbia, and he prioritized taking Bulgaria. Also, do you notice that Conk, I think, got some misinformation here and thought Russia might be moving to Serbia?
Right. I mean, he's grind stabbing Conk as well. He's just, it's one really sad thing I've learned in diplomacy is that the human propensity for hope is probably one of our greatest weaknesses. And what people will do in a moment of just hope and a glimmer of possible life is really incredible. So yeah, he's just burning all his bridges. He's really just doing everything. And again, I think this is earlier to do this, but he just has perceived that at this juncture, this is going to be his best chance to make a move and grow. And yeah, he's really doing well. I mean, I really respect it. I'm starting to appreciate a certain style.
You stole my line, which I've used now lots of times, that hope is the most dangerous drug in diplomacy.
Yeah, I agree.
I
mean, heroin's a little bit more dangerous, but hope is second.
Well, all you do with heroin is NMR.
Yeah.
There's worse things.
Oh yeah.
That's probably a little bit more noble than thinking you're going to get help. Okay,
and losing Vienna and Budapest to a single pope. Yeah, that is a little bit more noble.
Where do we go from here? Okay, legitimately, I think you've created a sandbox.
Yeah, I don't have it pulled up right now, but I think that let's see, actually. Yeah, I don't have, but I think that I mean the question is just the retreats and the builds. Greece will retreat to Albania, right? I think he'll disband the fleet. What do you guys think?
Yeah, the fleet's the least useful.
I mean, it's also the fleet is just him. He just needs Italy to allow him to live. And if I was Italy, even though talked about the dungeon resentment, it's not time yet. I would actually want to keep Austria there as a buffer. I just want, but he already, I mean, he missed out on his chance for the Mid Atlantic. I don't know what he's doing. I think he's almost just in a holding pattern, and that's his mentality. Um, so Italy gets a build too, right?
Mm-hmm. Probably Army Naples.
You think an army? I would just. I mean, I'm a fleet fetishist, so I would build another fleet Naples. I would be trying to.
I think it depends on what Italy's going to do. I'm not convinced that Italy's on side with Germany at this point. Italy's gotten his
He
revenge on
shouldn't be. He should
Austria.
be a mercenary. Italy's he can play all sides. He's just like, oh, they were begging me to do this, they're begging me to do that. Just build a lot of fleets and kind of raid all the coastal centers while playing all sides. That's what I would do. You only need to build the armies at the end when you have your web of fleets already there, and you can move them around at will.
I don't. I mean, I might go with Don on. I with superstition on this. If he builds an army, he could convoy that bad boy to Marseille and be a real player in the collapse of Germany.
I wouldn't. Yeah, I don't know. But why? Why would you want Germany to collapse?
Because it's huge.
What threat is? So what? What threat is Germany to you?
He wants dots.
Let everyone else fight him. What See, this is why it was so. If he had given England, Portugal, taken the Mid Atlantic, he could have still pretended to be friends with England. He would have Portugal as his next build. You know, where I would be looking for builds is I'd be looking at Greece. I would be looking at Smyrna.
I think he's a shoo-in for Greece because Austria is really not going to go back for it.
Yeah.
And
I wouldn't have
gone back home.
I would ignore any. I would only be prioritizing coastal centers at this point. There's plenty to be had. There's no reason to have armies. We're about to see Russia and Germany just beat the shit out of each other with armies and just punch each other in the face. And if I was Italy, I would just kind of sail around on gentle Mediterranean breezes while they just beat each other up. And
all right. So do you think Ionian moves to east, Tyrrhenian to Ionian? He builds another fleet that goes to Tyrrhenian. Conch has a chance at Smyrna. Italy has a chance at Greece.
Mm-hmm. That sounds good.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I just have trouble thinking. The missed potential in this move is so much that I have trouble thinking about what his plan is here. But maybe there'll be something I really just don't perceive. Maybe he is planning to build an army or something. I really hope that it isn't just a strike against Austria at this point, because I really do think that as Italy, you want everyone to be just in deadlock, just having to pump out armies out of necessity in Central Europe while I kind of pick off the fringes. So we'll see.
Is there any chance that England disbands the army of Liverpool? I understand the importance of having an army in Britain if you're England, especially when faced against this ongoing threat. But what's more important to England, the army in Norway or the army in Liverpool? Probably the army in Liverpool, right? Norway's going to go.
Well, Norway's gone.
Yeah.
It's an SGP now.
But, yeah.
I mean, you're right. Yeah, you're right.
But in any case, that army, I would disband the army in St. Petersburg because you're trying to get Russia on board. Russia is the biggest counterweight to Germany at this point with the amount of armies it has. So you want an army threat against Russia as England is always going to antagonize Russia and raise his hackles. So you have to disband that.
He could disband both his armies.
He could, yeah, he could disband both.
Bring that fleet back and try to save his.
Yeah, the only thing that gives me pause there is just that army is good and Barents. You know, I hate moving to Barents. I feel like every time you move to Barents, you get stabbed because it's so far removed from the. Yeah, so it's like, yeah, it's just you have a couple moves to get back where you can actually use it. I would just be tempted.
I learned
to
that the hard way.
spam
I
it.
was like, I'm never going to Barons ever again.
Yeah.
Every time you get stabbed,
Yeah,
way too far out of position.
yeah.
I'd always rather go through Sweden, trade it for something.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Botany is so much more powerful. Got your
And
combo.
then, I mean, obviously, the final question is yeah.
No, you go ahead.
Well, I mean, I just still am so intrigued by what Germany's going to build. I just.
You gotta build fleets, but that's just me.
You think you would really build 2 fleets here?
I mean, he's pretty stacked with armies.
That's so hot.
I think I'd build a.
What's that, Ed? You cut out.
I think I built a fleet army as a message to Russia. If you're going to grow, it's a message to Russia. If you're going to grow, you're not going to grow through me. You got to go south, which is what.
Yeah, I agree. I would build a fleet in Kiel and an army in Berlin. But again, for all you like just stab fetishists with
Well,
one
what's an army
fleet,
do for him? I don't understand.
It locks it up.
It's already locked up. I mean,
it's not that locked up.
He's leaving Galatia, and if he gets kicked out of Vienna, he's gonna have to disband. He's got 2 units, Livonia and Warsaw, and they're probably going to take STP back. So he's going to have to remove himself from the German.
I think that it really depends on Austria and Italy. I mean, it's tough. I guess there's no way. Austria's not. Austria, there's no way.
Twice.
Yeah, but
he's going for his own centers.
But you know, sometimes people just they just want to drown in their own tears, you know, and they just want to believe that they don't want to believe that their ally would do this to them, you know.
And you get
okay, would you agree with me that the most critical mistake of the game was either Austria stabbing Italy, or I think once the stab was made, not following through with it, leaving Naples, not taking Venice, not following through with the stab. I don't want to not give Russia credit for that, because Russia must have been part of that get back on board thing.
I think Austria's biggest fail was going into Bohemia.
Yeah.
Just putting 2 units on Germany.
Yeah.
Going on Russia for no reason.
I mean, you had it right. You could even just say going into Bohemia. That move and him staying in Bohemia is Austria's biggest mistake of the game. But if you're going to talk about the biggest mistake of the game, I mean, France not going to the English Channel in 1901. I don't know.
I don't know if that's a mistake. That's wishful thinking. But that's...
It depends on how you define a mistake, you know.
Well, he's not psychic, but Bohemia's bad.
I don't know. I think I would have taken the 2.
And it's
I think I would have taken the 2 off of Italy. I think I would have crippled Italy. I don't blame Italy at all for what he's done.
No, Italy's done pretty well, considering.
I just think I love Italy's game, and I love how he just got himself out of the straitjacket he was in. And I hope that no one confuses my absolute disgust with his move this turn with a general assessment of his game. I think his move this particular turn was really bad and missed a lot of potential. But his game in general, his tenacity, his vision has been amazing.
Okay. It's time we're at the end of fall of another year. We must assign grades.
Oh, God.
It is a requirement. This is a big popular section. You should see how many views and listens we got to that section. So we're going to go forward with it. We'll start with Turkey.
I mean, who cares? Like, I don't know why we kept getting asked to grade Turkey.
Well, he's still alive.
He has a
He
fleet.
threw half the game for a change, so I guess he gets an A for at least surviving in Greece. I mean, he doesn't have much that he can do, so.
I mean, once you lose all your home centers, like, what are you even playing for at that point? I guess he could like choose. I guess if he could just give one last fuck you to someone he chose or something.
Wait, no, I'm gonna downgrade it to a B minus just because if you know you're gonna get AEG, why would you not tap Serbia?
I mean,
if you're gonna go into Greece, why don't you make sure you get it?
Okay,
I'll give him an incomplete, like maybe like 6 months from now, if you complete enough coursework, maybe you can pass.
I give him a D minus.
Okay.
If we're looking at both tactically and diplomatically, ultimately, Conk
diplomatically is a big fail, but he got Italy.
Is a major diplomatic failure. He never could get Russia. He's down to 2. He still can't do anything. And yet here's Russia making sure his army gets piffed. It's just brutal for Conk.
I'm actually going to give him an A. I'm going to give him an A. I changed my mind. We are all Conk, and I just realized, I mean, okay, I'm dismissing it because he's already been that, but actually getting that fleet in Greece, like convincing Italy to get him to Greece, lets him affect the game in a kind of funny way because he actually does strangely threaten to get the Ionian Sea. He could break a support. Yeah, I'll give him a B plus. How about that? Give him a B plus. Everyone gets B pluses today. So
okay, Austria.
You didn't cover the only sites you can build on. That's enough for me.
I don't know. It's just so recognizable and tragic. And if people would listen to him, maybe they'd be better off. And
like, I knew they would convince to split the Turkish centers. I knew there'd be some cooperation there, but I didn't think he would leave himself open.
I mean, he's like Icarus. He flew too close to the sun. I'm going to give him a B minus.
It's a big difference.
I give him a straight D. To me, the tragedy of his Budapest was gone no matter what. He couldn't do anything about that last year.
Yeah,
but to not cover Vienna is inexcusable. He was getting greedy and he wanted a place to build.
No, he thought that Russia was actually his friend. That's all.
Right, and that failure of recognition of in the situation merits him a bad grade.
But Russia wasn't in danger of losing anything. It was just giving him position. That's a spring move. Don't move Bohemia to break support. You need to cover yourself. I don't get it. That's so bad.
I mean,
the Bohemian army has just been the worst thing.
Italy.
I just think it's a familiar kind of Austrian madness. You've just been spinning schemes and your brain has been working so hard for so long that you just get lost in your own devices. It's too recognizable for me to give him too bad a grade, I have to say. That might just be a personal issue.
Well, personally, the player closest on the board to me is Austria. Like, this craziness is probably something I would have done.
Yeah.
So I like it. I mean, I admire it and I feel really bad for him, but objectively, bad. Not following through on the stab, not covering Vienna, not seeing what Village Idiot's going to do, buying into his web. Just brutal.
I don't know if he can get that. He needs just to put everything into getting that Central Powers together. I mean, he needs to remember who he was. He was the man who convoyed from Bulgaria to Naples to Puglia to Syria. Like that's still in him. I think that he still has him in him. The problem is just trusting a conventional player. I think that's the biggest problem. You got to realize who the two center stabbers are and react accordingly.
Italy grades for 1905. He got one build, and he helped conquer the Greece,
D
and
minus,
he prevented England from getting Portugal.
or just a D. D minus is stupid and petty. I would just give him a D. I mean, he's still doing all right. He got a build. I just think.
I'd give him a B because even though he didn't advance one way or the other, he's still in position to pivot either way. I mean, even the Gulf of Leon to Spain will still give him some pressure. So
I am a C plus or incomplete. The spring move
pivot one
to
way or the other.
the C plus or incomplete. The spring move of Venice to Tyrolia to keep the Austrian army out, I think was really good for him, and he may be able to take advantage of the chaos that's going to come. So C plus.
Yeah. I have to say it's a D because let's see, I disagree with every single one of his moves except for the move from Naples. So he could have had the Mid-Atlantic. Ugh.
good up.
It's so great. When Italy has the Mid-Atlantic, I can't even. Have you guys ever had the Mid-Atlantic as Italy?
Of course.
Oh,
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about, that feeling. That it's such a great feeling. It's just
Break out.
the wind of the open ocean is in your hair. Like everyone just feels more like virile and happier than they did before. It's sad.
Well, I always remember my virility. So you got me wanting to go to MAO right now. All right. France.
France did well.
Hey.
I mean,
Oh my God!
yeah.
I wish he had managed to convoy to Gascony and gotten Brest. I'm so sad that. I mean, just the fact that he had that, he clearly really did have that arranged.
Oh, not necessarily. He could just be like, "This is where you're retreating to," and just been like, "Big fuck you."
Oh, I don't know. I have a feeling that he had gotten England to agree to convoy him to Gascony. It kind of makes sense if you look at it.
Hold on. Are you saying because he entered an illegal order, he prevents Brest from retreating to Gascony?
No, he's just pointing out where you're probably going to retreat.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, I don't know if this is a convoy or not, but look, the man has. He's still. I mean, he got. I give him an A. I give him an A. He lost Liverpool, but that was gone. He's gained a friend and a fleet that Germany really needs, which is why I think Germany may not build two, because that fleet now has become, part of the German flank.
I mean, that I don't really abide by Texan grade inflation, and I give him an A, and that means a lot. His kind of defensive stand at this point reminds me of, there's a Jackie Chan movie, I think it's called Legend of Drunken Master or something.
Yes, it's his best film by far.
Yeah, that when he gets attacked by the Axe Clan and there's thousands of them with axes and he's just fighting them all off kicks. That's really Doc at this point. I mean, I just love that he negotiated a convoy to Gascony and to take Brest, and is just like, there is this like slight path forward even for him. If Italy continues to be a little shy and he can play England and Germany off of each other. Yeah, I love his moves. I hope he lives at this point. He might be like a temporary people's champ, like a bubble, like a bubble champ, people's champ with like an asterisk on it.
Will he, in a last longer bet, will France last longer than Conch?
Oh yeah.
Yes. He's in Portugal. He's going to last a little while.
All right. England grades.
I don't know if England did very bad, but he already had a bad position, so it was really hard.
Two disbands is very bad. Superstition.
Well, I'm just saying he went for what he thought he was going to get. Diplomacy-wise, yeah, obviously he wasn't able to negotiate even anything. So
I think England will survive. I don't think that this is game ending for him. I think that his chances of winning are pretty low now, and that he's going to be more of a kingmaker. I'll stick
You just said a day ago you thought England might win.
Well, if he had gotten 2 or 3 builds here, he might win, but he didn't, and so now he is relegated to a kingmaker. And I think it was kind of a worthy gamble. Like, it remains to be what Germany will really gain long term from this stab. I'm a little skeptical. Everyone's different. If I was England and Germany, I would have stuck together a little longer and just known that one of us would win rather than kind of throwing both of our chances to the winds like this. It's okay to let someone else go up, especially if you're, as Germany, in a more secure place. You're no longer as worried about being surrounded because France is gone and Italy is more your natural ally than England's. So we'll see.
yeah, I think he had him. I think Germany had him more focused on France, and I mean, even if the French had a raider, it wouldn't have been that big of a deal. Just very myopic. I think that he should have been more concerned about the centers he already had. But I don't think it was necessarily bad. It's probably a C. I mean, he did a Hail Mary and it failed. So
yeah, I'll give him a B minus.
He was a fool.
All I heard is a bunch of static, and he was a fool.
that's all I heard too.
I'm back. All right.
Yeah.
He was a fool. He was a fool for realizing that he thought Germany would let him go up. I pointed it out. Like, it was too easy. The convoying out to Norway, brutally dumb. Then getting away, committing to St. Petersburg, brutal. The results of his play are utterly deserved. Germany has played him.
Let's just talk over him while he's breaking up, and I think just Russia played them both.
No,
Let's hear what he has to say when he comes back down to earth, though.
Russia definitely has his hands in everybody's game. Always
Yeah.
does. Always will.
Yeah, neither Germany or England played each other. That's just Russia's game there. Russia's getting St. Petersburg back.
Yeah, and that's why I give Germany a B. Because he could have easily disbanded the army by moving to Livonia. He was never getting Warsaw.
So it's an F minus for
Good to know. F minus.
Germany. Great.
That's not a real grade. There's no such thing as an F minus.
There is in my book.
Okay.
I
great.
just needed to make clear. It was the worst of the game. Germany got a B. What do you grade Germany?
A B.
I give him a B, I guess. I give him a B.
He could have blocked that retreat, and he could have pushed the Austrian army out, which would have put
Actually,
it
no, I
right
wouldn't
in
even give
Russian
him a
territory.
B. Like, if you're gonna stab England, why even make the stupid attack on Warsaw and not block him out of Livonia?
Because
He
that
could have.
could be German SDP easy.
I would have blocked him out of Livonia, and then not attacked Warsaw, and then said, "Oh, look, I'm on your side." It would be ambiguous rather than trying to steal an extra center. Um,
Well, he
it's
could have
kind of a
supported.
diplomatic failure that he doesn't have Austria on his side already. He should have been talking.
He could have supported
This is
Munich
very
and Bohemia, and that would
yeah.
have Austria to go into the Russian territory and give him another place to build.
So I actually Ed is just so high on the stab that he's just losing his mind right now and drooling on himself.
Those
So I really
armies have failed.
when 1905 fall 1905 rolls around, I'm telling everyone who's listening right now, watch this guy. But yeah, I don't think it's that amazing a move. I'm gonna give him a B minus. I'm gonna give him in England the same grade. Oh, he quit.
He's like, I can't talk. No, he's back.
Ed, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right.
Okay.
I have not yet assigned a grade to Germany. I actually give him a B minus,
Yeah.
and the reason I do is not because of. Oh, okay, well, I don't really listen to you anyways. It's not that I'm stab happy. In personal life, I'm not. I used to be, but I'm not now. It's because the B minus, the moves to me, he did what he had to do, right? But I don't see how he's going to credibly advance and keep all this at bay. I think we're about to see. I don't think Germany's going to win this game, and that's the point of playing this game. But for this season, you know, he didn't do anything remarkable to me except what he had to do.
If he would have disbanded Livonia, Russia would be in a really bad position, and he would be able to build another army and just creeped up the coast, and he would have had that whole central Russian area.
Yeah.
What do you mean disband
Livonia?
Livonia?
Taking a build away from Russia. That was,
if you went Prussia to Livonia, that STP would have disbanded.
It would have been a forced disband, and then Russia does get a build, but they have two builds, but they only can build one in Sevastopol. So they actually
why can't St. Petersburg retreat to Finland?
That's true.
I guess it can.
Yeah.
Did see that. Too many lines up there.
Okay.
Too many lines. Scandinavia is so confusing, but no, Finland would actually be not a bad retreat either. But I mean, it just goes to show that it could have been an awesome. I mean, he could have not stabbed, and they could have disbanded that. I mean, he could have. There's a really, really crushing move against Russia to be had here that they.
The reason Germany went for Warsaw
didn't really bother you.
The reason Germany went to Warsaw is what?
Yeah, he always cuts out right at the punchline. Maybe he thought Austria was going to tap Galicia.
He knew he couldn't support both STP and Warsaw, but he got triple support against STP, so who cares?
Yeah, I think that it's pretty predictable that he's not going to get Warsaw. It seems like just a waste of a move to me.
We even said that.
Even if he doesn't get disband, you mentioned, I mean, still just keeping him out of Livonia would be good. Finland is a much less.
Can you hear me? Support St. Petersburg.
Yeah, but we had already determined that supporting St. Petersburg wasn't really a good idea. Livonia protecting Moscow is much more important.
Russia grade.
Yeah.
A for Russia. That's great.
I guess I
got Austria to do everything that he wanted to do.
Yeah, Russia gets an A. It's almost more impressive than wedging your enemies apart is betraying your own ally and then wedging them apart immediately.
Yeah, life from behind.
Yeah, and
Like,
just
sorry.
I think on conspiracy they refer to it as an overthrow, right? So when you steal the other person's partner. So I think he stabbed Austria. He got an overthrow. So now he's probably going to have England on his side as the kind of limiter on German growth. In great move, and he's definitely not the people's champ. That's France for a kind of little interim belt, but he's in pole position to win, I think.
Russia is an A+ with extra credit. I'm giving A+ to a man who lost St. Petersburg and still gets a build and is in perfect position to get a lot more dots.
There's such a hyperbole factor. There is neither an F- or an A+ in actual grading, but it's fine. We'll just move on.
Who will win this game?
I think Russia's got a great chance.
I think Russia is the best chance, followed by Italy, followed by Germany.
Russia is the only person who can win this game. They should draw as soon as Russia gets.
Wow, that is you're just. They should draw as soon as Russia gets. He leaves us hanging again.
Yeah, as soon as Russia, I didn't know if you can hear me. As soon as Russia has the center lead, they should draw because there's no chance. There's no chance after that anyone will catch up to Russia.
That is maybe
they're done.
That might be the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my life.
I don't know. At this point, I think the AI needs to get back together to stop the juggernaut that is one thing now.
AI needs to get back together.
I agree.
But it's not. Is it going to happen? I don't know.
I feel like if Italy had taken the Mid-Atlantic here, this might be just a crucial juncture. I think if Italy had the Mid-Atlantic, won this game.
I think Austria needs
I have to say that.
Yes, Italy can help it wherever it needs to from there.
Yeah.
Okay, let's end this abortion of a recording and technology at this point. Thanks to you guys, and thanks to diplomacybriefing.com.